This is a project that I'm still surprised is actually being made, because in a time when we're getting a lot of cancellation on Disney shows and things like that, this is something that they announced back in 2020 that we haven't really heard any news about it since then. But now we're getting this new information saying that they're changing focus and making it a movie instead of a Disney Plus show. I have my suspicions why I think they're doing this, but let's hear what they have to say about this from this article in the Hollywood Reporter. Donald Glover's Lando project revealed to be a movie. Writer Stephen Glover revealed he and his brother Donald are changing lanes on the project, which was initially a Disney Plus series. Scrolling down to the article, just kind of what they're saying. They're shifting gears to make it a film. Glover's brother Stephen Glover was working on the project with Donald before the writer's strike began in May, and during an appearance on the Pablo Torre Finds Out podcast posted Thursday, revealed the latest plans were to make a film. The project is on hold amid the strikes. Donald played Lando Calrissian in 2018 Solo: A Star Wars Story. The film was a box office bomb, but he earned praise for response for his work on the character. So, he did a decent job playing the Lando Calrissian. Some of the issues I have was just creative choices that they had with the character, but I think he did fairly well in that role, even though the movie wasn't that good. But again, I still didn't think it's enough to actually carry a TV show based around the character. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think a lot of people aren't really clamoring for a Lando Calrissian show. But they also weren't wanting it. They also made an Andor show, and that was something that obviously by the viewership rating that no one watched. And viewership data is really why I think they're ultimately doing this, because I do got this pulled up from the direct, and this is why I think that they're ultimately shifting focus, or at least part of the reason why I think they're shifting focus from a TV show to a movie. And it's just a simple fact that a lot of people don't actually watch the Star Wars shows on the Disney Plus platform, because let's face it, the Disney or the Star Wars flagship is the movies, and the Disney Plus shows are viewed as most audiences as just like extra, but you don't necessarily need to watch it. And I think we're starting to see Disney recognize that and trying to change focus. Look at this, 1.2 million households watched Ahsoka over the course of the first 6 days it was on Disney Plus. That's not good numbers, even when you compare it to other things. The most popular one they had was Obi-Wan, and that only got 2.14 million. Season 2 of The Mandalorian, that got 2.08 million, and that was their flagship Disney Plus Star Wars show. So, people just aren't watching these shows on their platform. And when you also consider the cost that it takes to make these, I got this right here showing how much it is. Mandalorian, $15 million per episode. You stretch that out over an 8-episode season. That's $120 million. That's enough for a huge blockbuster movie to spend $120 million, but they're spending it on a show that people aren't really watching, and that's their most popular one. Andor, they lost a lot on this one, 15 to 25 million per episode. Obi-Wan, that's a decent movie right there, 90 million per episode. We see lots of movies made for that price that are pretty good. Book of Boba Fett, another 15 million per episode. But this is something I think is interesting to take into consideration. So you got Obi-Wan, 90 million per episode. And when I have this other site pulled up where it shows the runtime of these shows, look at these single seasons of the shows. 5 hours and 5.5 hours for Boba Fett, 4 hours for Obi-Wan, 8.5 hours for Andor. But let's take Obi-Wan. They spent $90 million to produce a 4-hour show, or a show with 4 hours of runtime that a lot of people really weren't watching, or at least not enough people were watching to justify even renewing it for another season. At least as of now, it's not going to be getting another season. But if it made money for them, then they would be given it another season. But the fact that they didn't shows that the viewership really wasn't enough to justify it. And that was one of their more modest shows that they had, or at least modestly budgeted shows that they produced. But if you think about it, get the $90 million instead of putting it in a 4-hour show that on a platform that people aren't really watching. Why not put it into a 2-hour movie and put it out in theaters, and then maybe it would actually do better? Or better yet, I think for Disney, you have a Lando Calrissian show. You're doing you're doing half the runtime, so maybe just half the budget of the $90 million. I mean, like maybe not even go half or whatever. Let's just go a little bit more. Let's say they give them $60 million to make a Lando Calrissian movie and put it out in theaters at like a 2-hour runtime. Do you think that'll be profitable? I mean, I'm pretty sure Disney can make a profit off of a $60 million movie. I mean, let me see, what would that be? I mean, let's say you double that for marketing, so $120 million for marketing. You need twice the box office take on that, so $240 million they have to make globally on it to actually turn a profit. I think that's pretty feasible for what they're doing, and the quality of it would basically be in line with what we've been seeing on their Disney Plus shows. And presumably from fans of the Disney Plus shows, they say the quality is fine and the quality is up there with the rest of the movie, so they should have no problem with doing such a thing. I mean, if you think that that's not enough of a budget for it, then you're basically saying that the shows look cheap, or maybe some people would argue that and they say it needs a higher budget. But even then, like I said, $90 million for the movie, I think that's a little bit more feasible. I mean, looking at Solo as comparison, I mean, that made around $400 million globally. I mean, granted, they gave this a huge budget of $275 million. I mean, obviously that was a result of them basically having to reshoot the movie. But I think this is what Disney's been looking at, is that they're looking at, they haven't been getting the viewership on the Disney Plus platform. They've been losing millions of subscribers. They've been losing hundreds of millions of dollars a quarter on it. And they're thinking, like, even though that's kind of the future that they want to have, it's really not paying the bills right now, and they need to make some money. And I think they understand Star Wars is something that you only really make money off of it if you're investing in the movies. And so far, we haven't really seen a ton of movies since Rise of Skywalker, when that came out several years ago. So maybe this is them trying to change course and fix things, but I don't know. I think it might be too little too late. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And if you like this video, make sure you click the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.